I'm gonna have to do this again. So today's video, I'm gonna be talking about a piece of meat. I'm gonna talk about my meat today. The deer that I shot the opening day of bow season, the one that we named Lucifer, I took one of his hindquarters and I've aged it for 30-ish, 40 days. I can't remember, honestly. But I've done it a handful of times, and I'll be quite honest with you, a lot of times it didn't turn out very well. But I accidentally aged a piece of meat, I think it was 2 years ago. No, it was last year, I apologize. And it turned out really, really well. And what I did was I dry aged it, or I wet aged it for almost 2 weeks. And then I took it out of the bag and let it sit in the refrigerator and forgot about it. And I found it there almost a month later. And it didn't smell bad. And once I cut all the blackness away, the meat was phenomenal. So I took a gamble and I did that exact same process with this deer here. And if I ever make a video about that process, then I will at some point put it in the description or maybe link it into this video. But what I want to do is kind of the way I cook deer steak a lot. It's just a quick lunch for me. So I'm going to cut a thinner strip off, and then I'm going to cut a thicker chunk that I'm actually cook a little bit more like you would cook a proper steak. And then on this, it's the same cut of meat. This is a buck that Braden shot about a week and a half ago. So I kind of just want to compare and see the differences, but this one I'm going to do the same thing, and we're just going to compare apples to apples. And then for seasoning, like I said, this is how I eat lunch a lot. Just a real quick lunch, but I'm just going to use a little garlic, just some pepper, kosher salt, and a little thyme. And then for the thinner cuts, I'll actually show you, I use Pam, but any kind of spray, and it's just real, like I said, if you're a big steak connoisseur, don't freak out on me, okay? This is just a quick lunch, and it's a good way to test a piece of meat, in my opinion, because if you have a crappy cut of meat and you doctor it up real well, it can taste pretty good. But if you have a crappy cut of meat and you cook it a very lazy way, well, you're gonna taste it then. You're gonna realize how gross it is. So I'm gonna cut these up, season them, and then cook them real quick, and then we'll find out what they taste like. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I've got the non-aged meat and then the aged meat. The aged meat, you do lose a fair amount of the cut because you do have to cut all this black part off. But, so the thin ones, the way I like to cook those is I just like to hit, speaking about heat, so for the thin ones, the way I like to cook those, and I'm actually going to do those last. I'm going to cook the thick ones real quick. But I like to just spray them with Pam and then throw them in the skillet for like 30 seconds on each side, and then they're pretty much done. But the thicker ones, I'm going to go ahead and put a little olive oil in the pan and then finish them with some butter. Bring y'all along for the journey, I guess. The way I like to do it is, I'll be very curious how the audio works out on this, but the way I like to do it is I like to get a little bit crisp, and then I'll throw the butter in. All right, so now I'm gonna let this just rest for a bit, and then I'm gonna cook those thin ones up real quick. lot of quickness in this meal, you know? Like I said, it's just a nice, fast, easy lunch. Some people say they don't have time to eat healthy. It's like, listen, you have time to eat healthy. You just have to make a little bit of an effort for it. And, you know, I'm not gonna eat a lot of junk with it. I'm just gonna have the steak and then I'll have some fruit and a cup of coffee. I'll be so jacked up and round and ready to go for the day. People better look out. Non-aged, aged. I know everybody's gonna freak out when they see this, but I'm telling you, it works well. You know, it probably would have been advantageous for me to set something up on like a table, but I'm hungry and I'm in a hurry because I got to get ready for an appointment here. But we've got the non-aged, well, it's kind of aged. It's wet aged. It's been wet aged in my refrigerator for about a week and a half. This is the one that was aged for about a week and a half, wet aged, and then I dried it for approximately 30 days. I'll put more information down in the description or so. But let's try this one first. So this is the, oh man, look at me. I'm getting myself all kinds of mixed up here. What do we got going on here? There we go. Right? Is that right? No. There we go. Okay, that is the wet aged for a week and a half. That is the one that is aged longer. So let's try the thick one real quick. And I hope in my infinite attempt to not overcook these, I didn't undercook them, but I gotta admit, I'm incredibly amazed. I gotta get down on one knee. I'm too tall to be doing this. That's really surprisingly good. I overcooked it a little bit, I'll be honest. I might make a follow-up to this one. That's really good. It's like firm, but it's not chewy. I'm completely surprised right now. It's kind of got a funny after. It's kind of got that like, I guess I'd say that nutty, gamey, but that was at the very end, like right when I was about to swallow it. Huh. Tasted nutty when I went to swallow it. That sounds bad. All right, let's try the thinner cut. That one's, you know, it's kind of got almost like a little bit of a duck flavor to it. It's not bad though. My real curiosity is it worth the effort? Like if it's not worth the effort, I'm not gonna do it. I mean, it tastes good. It doesn't taste bad, so it's not like I ruined the meat. You see the center there. I could have let it rest a little more. You know, maybe the color would have came through a little bit more if I let it rest, but. All right, so let's try the, just the two, let's call it the 2-week aged. Let's go for a middle cut here. And these steaks were cool. They were out of the refrigerator too. They weren't room temperature. Like I said, this is just a quick throw together lunch. So the immediate is the texture. Like this actually tastes really good, but it's more firm and chewy, where this has like that firm, but it feels like your just teeth go through it a little bit better. Flavor-wise, this is a little cleaner though. I think if I was to have like friends or family over and we were to have steaks, I'd probably do that. If I was to have a hunting buddy over, I'd probably do that just for shits and giggles. But I don't know if it's worth the work, honestly. The thin one is the best. That's really good. I don't know what it is about cooking or cutting a deer steak about that thin and take it out of the refrigerator, spray it with Pam, put some seasoning on it, throw it on there real hot for like 30-ish seconds or so. That's so good, man. You throw an egg in with that, you got breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So, anyways, long-term aging a deer. Why am I screaming? This video is gonna be so loud. Long-term aging a deer. I don't know if it's worth it. It's good. If you wanna do it just for the hell of it, give it a shot. But I don't know if it's necessarily worth the extra effort. But either way, they're both really good. That's the end of the video. I gotta eat lunch. I gotta get to work. I'm sorry, the video will end, but okay. Let me show you here. Let me show you. The thick aged cut. As it cooled off, this is pretty much the last bite. The thick aged cut is actually better. It really is. Once it cooled completely and rested and everything properly, you could half-ass convince somebody that that is like a nice beef. I'm gonna have to do this again. Stay tuned. I'm very surprised.